Hello there, fellow humans, welcome to this video, and update 8.4 is out, and obviously the only relevant thing that happened is that the M2 Lite is now in HD glory, which is obviously amazing. Oh wait, that's not the topic of this video. Oh, as much as it pains me to do this, there is no time for the M2 Lite, but instead we're going to talk about the 60TP, the new tier 10 Polish heavy tank. Now, I've played it quite a bit on stream, so I kind of know how it works already, which is always nice, because you want to inform yourself before you talk about it. And if you want to see more on my channel, then don't forget to like and subscribe. So yeah, what can we see on this tank? The armor profile is very strong, the lower plate is very small, and it's angled downwards, which means you can get a lot of bounces off the upper plate. You can also shoot below it a lot of times, so the lower plate is very strong. The driver's edge can be a weak spot, but it's not very big, and it's also very thick, so it is not going to be a weak spot either. Turret, again, it's very rounded, very Russian, basically, so it is insanely strong as well, and the cupolas are tiny, so the armor on this thing is seriously strong from the front. It also has 7 degrees of gun depression, which is a thing that is overlooked often, so you can go hull down quite easily, I guess. Then, we got the gun. Now, 600 alpha damage, 2.5k DPM, you could look all that up yourself. DPM is good, pen is good. All that is good. As I said, 7 degrees of depression. It is surprisingly accurate for a big tank like this, and it is also decently fast as well. It is not going anywhere quickly, which is... I'm not a big fan of this tank now, because it's just not my playstyle. It doesn't have enough speed, it doesn't have enough gun depression to make it work how I want it to work, but nonetheless, it is a very good tank, obviously. It also has the tungsten shells, which, I don't know. It's really a 50-50 whether the adrenaline or the tungsten. I wouldn't use both, but it really depends on you which ones you want to use. Same with the provisions and the equipment. It's just how I do it. You can run enhanced armor as well, because the turret's quite rounded, so that might help as well. But I'm just gonna put on an improved assembly for now. And yeah, now, obviously, as I already said during the stream, I played the tank, so I'm not gonna play it again. But instead, let's talk about the replays. So now let's get into the first one here on Himmelsdorf, and there is 8 60TPs in this battle, which is quite a few, so it is going to be quite interesting. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to the medium side, because why not? They have one medium, we have one medium, so don't tell me the Vickers Light is a light tank. It's called light, but hey, it has more armor than a Leopard 1, so who's the fool here? So, what I want to do here is I want to go to the medium side, because if the Vickers is alone and the Object 140 would be there, it would be a 2-on-1. And we could simply crush them. And also because I'm not a fan of, well, face-to-face campy brawling. I like to flank people. And that's what I'm going to do here. Now, obviously you can see the mobility isn't that great for it, which is why I'm not a big fan of this tank, you know. I'm probably not going to be playing it very actively. But obviously that doesn't matter, because my preferences are irrelevant when it comes to the tank itself. And the tank itself is quite strong. You know, you have a lot of armor, which you can go and hold angles like this. You're not going to be pinned very easily. And even if you are exposed, the lower plate's tiny. The sides are weak, obviously, as on pretty much most tanks, which should be obvious. And yeah, now, he's going to miss, I'm going to miss. The accuracy isn't bad, but still, it's a heavy tank, so it isn't going to be amazing at all. It's not a Vickers CR where you can just snapshot everything. No, definitely. So, obviously, I'm on the side. My team is there, fighting the enemy. And, yeah, they're sitting around. And I'm on here on the side, and I can shoot them in the side. Now, this 60TP is obviously paying attention to me, but he can't do much, because he's also getting shot from this side. And that is also what you want to do most of the time. You want to open up a crossfire. You know, because if someone is being targeted from 2 sides, they're going to have quite a hard time defending both of those sides. And that is also very, very useful for tournaments. You know, you always want to have like 2 flanks open and stuff like that, because if you only shoot from one side, they can directly focus on that. If you're like shooting them from 2 sides, they're going to have quite a tough time. And now the Object 140 is doing that, so I'm just going to take him out. And now we're down by 1 tank here, but what you can see in the corner, Jaegeru and M60. So I'm in a 1v2 basically now, and there are 3 enemies well, 3 teammates over there are on 2 enemies, which is pretty good for them because they now have a significant advantage. And I'm not scared of something like this because it's going to work. And now the Igloo is going to peek, do something like that. It's going to bounce, as you can see. Like, the front plate is very well angled. Obviously, you have the downside of the side plates on the front being a bit angled inwards, so they can become a problem. But they're very, like, also angled backwards a lot, so they're going to be very hard to pin anyway. So there is that. Now, it is obviously, as I said, a very strong tank. It is not OP by any means, obviously. It only has 2,500 DPM, which isn't that amazing. Obviously, I mean, if it had 3k DPM, I'd probably consider it. I don't know. I might consider it OP. OP is such a bad word, essentially, because there are very few tanks that are actually OP. Some of them, most of them are just pretty strong. And now, I'm in a 1v2 again, still, against the Yo and the Igloo here, but I'll be fine. Now, 600 alpha damage. It isn't 640, which can be a problem in certain situations. You might want to have those extra 40, but still, it's good enough. The pen as well, it's not as great as like an IS-4, but 330 on heat is definitely enough to go through most tanks that you will want to pen. And as you can see, it's an ace. This is the first ace out of like 6 in 25 battles. So now let's get into the second battle here, and well, again, it's gonna be an ace, obviously. I just spoiled that, I know. I'm not very good at this. But yeah, now, we already talked about the tank itself. Now, how does it compare to others? The E100 comparison is made quite a lot, which I don't quite understand, because now this thing is a lot more focused on hull downing, where the E100 can't do that and has to be more played in angling kind of way, because, you know, you don't have turret armor, it's all flat, so you have to angle the turret. On this one, you have a very rounded turret, so you want to have it low down to hide the hull, and try to somewhat go hull down. Obviously, you have 7 degrees of gun depression, which is going to allow you to go hull down in quite a couple of spots. It isn't going to be most of the important ones, but it is certainly going to be enough. Now, I'm going to still have to learn to use the tungsten shells before I shoot instead of after, but that is something that I will learn eventually as well, you know. Yeah, I don't know, it depends on whether you like adrenaline or not. I think the effect is pretty much the same. On one, you get a bit more damage. On the other one, you get more reload. But obviously, the tungsten shells take a lot longer to recharge. It's like 90 seconds, so they're not ideal. But yeah, going back to the 100, it's quite a very different playstyle. What I would do, I would rather compare it to something like IS-7 or an T-1T4 even, because those are more similar in how they're built, I guess. And the IS-7 is like, it's faster, and yeah. But how does it compare to those actually? Well, it's certainly better than the E4, because the E4 has that annoying, painful cupola on top, and the cheeks are, well, somewhat weak. I think they got buffed a couple updates ago, but they're still pennable. So there is that. It compares the E100 as well quite easily. I'd say the 60TP is the better tank. With the IS-7, I don't know about that. It's, I think a 60-40 towards the 60TP, but don't nail me on that. It's just throwing out there. I'd say it's certainly better than the E100. It's more flexible. You know, you can go hold down more. You can play that angle a lot more, and you just don't have the massive weak spot of a flat turret. You're not as big either, so you're not as easy of a target, obviously. And what you can do with tungsten shells, if you gotta shoot heat, you can use those so that when you're shooting heat, you're basically just shooting AP with more pen. That can't go through walls. But that is a very nice usage there as well. So yeah, overall, to conclude about the 60TP, it is a very good tank. It is nice to have it in the game. I'm personally not a big fan of it, because I like something that is faster, something that has a bit more gun depression, and also more DPM. Obviously, something like a Chieftain, something like a, I don't know, Super Conqueror, E50M, T-42, those kind of direction. That's what I prefer a lot more. But it is nonetheless, obviously, a very, very strong tank. As you can see here, 5k damage. And it's going to get even more right here. It's a bit risky, but, you know, You don't gain if you don't put it on the line. But yeah, that's it. Over. It isn't gonna be any of my favorites. It isn't the new big thing, I guess. I'd say the Yor's probably pound for pound a better tank as well. And it is, however, an easy tank. I will also review the tier 8 and the tier 9 in upcoming videos. So yeah, that's it for the 60TP. If you want it, get it. If you like slower heavies, get it as well. If you're more of the medium kind of guy like me, I would certainly stay away from it. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. See you for the next one. Goodbye.